Hello children, welcome for today's Crack NEET biology classes. So today we are going to learn most expected MCQs from the chapter Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plants. So let us go inside the chapter. So before going, let us start with a motivational thought. Inspiration does not exist. It must find you working. So now let us start the MCQs. So first I will read the MCQs, children. So while I am reading, you follow me and try to find out the answer. So if you can't find out the answer, I will tell the answers with explanation. So for NCERT guidance and explanation, kindly refer the description box. It has been attached for your kind reference. Now the 21st question. Male gamete in angiosperms produces A. Single sperm and 2 vegetative cells. B. 3 sperms. C. 2 sperms and a vegetative cell. D. Single sperm and a vegetative cell. So can you find out the answer? So correct answer is C. 2 sperms and a vegetative cell. The protoplast of the male gametophyte divides mitotically to produce 2 unequal cells, a small generative cell and a large vegetative cell. The generative cell divides later into 2 non-motile male gametes or sperms. So thus, the male gamete in angiosperms produces 2 sperms and a vegetative cell. The vegetative cell later grows to produce the pollen tube. Now let us go to the next question. So which of the following are the most important floral rewards to the animal pollinators? A. Floral fragrance and calcium crystals. B. Protein pellicle and stigmatic exudates. C. Color and large size of flower. D. Nectar and the pollen grains. Now the answer is D. Nectar and pollen grains. Now next question. So which one of the following may require pollinators but is genetically similar to autogamy? A. Apogamy. B. Cleistogamy. C. Geitonogamy. D. Xenogamy. The correct answer is C. Geitonogamy. Geitonogamy involves the transfer of pollen grains from one flower of a plant to the stigma of another flower of the same plant. Example, in maize and all it goes like that. As the pollen grain has to move from one flower to another flower, it requires a pollinating agent. So yes, it's genetically similar to autogamy as the both flowers belonging to the same plant. So they share the same genotype of the plant also. Now the next question. Which one of the following statements is not true? The flowers pollinated by flies and bats secrete foul odor to attract them. B. Honey is made by bees by digesting pollen collected from flowers. C. Pollen grains are rich in nutrients and they are used in the form of tablets and syrups. D. Pollen grains of some plants cause severe allergies and bronchial infections in some people. The correct answer is B. So why B is the correct answer? Let us see explanation. Honey is made from nectar through a process of regurgitation, that is ejecting the swallowed one, and evaporation. Honeybees transform carbohydrates into honey by regurgitating it in a number of times until it is partially digested. The bees do regurgitation and digestion as a group. That's why C is the correct answer. Now 25th, the hilum is a scar on the A. fruit where scales are present. B. seed where micropyle was present. C. seed where funicle was attached. D. fruit where it was attached to pedicel. The correct answer is C. Ovule is an integumented megasporangium found in spermatophytes which develops into seed after fertilization. An angiospermic ovule is typically an ovoid and whitish structure. It occurs inside ovary where it is attached to a parenchymatous cushion called placenta, either singly or in a cluster. The ovule is stalked. The stalk is called funiculus or funicle. The point of attachment of the body of the ovule with the funiculus is called hilum. It is present as a scar on a mature seed. Now let us go to the next question. Transmission tissue is characteristic feature of A. Dry stigma, B. Wet stigma, C. Hollow style, D. Solid style. The correct answer is D. Solid style. Style is reversed, transversed. The style, no, it is transversed by the pollen tube to reach the ovule. It is of two types, hollow and solid. In hollow styles, the stylar canal is lined by glandular cells, which are usually multinucleate and polyploid, whereas the solid style has a core of transmitting tissue composed of thin-walled cells through which the pollen tube moves. Now the next question. Geitonogamy involves A. Fertilization of a flower by the pollen grain from another flower of the same plant. B. Fertilization of a flower by the pollen from the same flower. C. Fertilization of a flower by the pollen from the flower of another plant in the same population. D. Fertilization of a flower by the pollen from a flower of another plant belonging to distant population. Now let us find the correct answer. The correct answer is A. Geitonogamy is a type of pollination taking place between two flowers of the same plant or genetically similar plant. Hence, genetically it is self-pollination, but since the agency is involved, it is ecologically, we call them as cross-pollination. Now next question. Pollen tablets are available in the market for A. In vitro fertilization, B. Breeding programs, C. Supplementing food, D. Ex situ conservation. The correct answer is A. Supplementing food. Pollen grains are believed to be rich in nutrients. They are taken as tablets or syrups to improve health. They also enhance performance of athletes and race horses. Now let us go to the next question. Function of filiform apparatus is to A. Recognize the suitable pollen at stigma, B. Stimulate division of generative cell, C. Produce nectar, D. Guide the entry of pollen tube. The correct answer is D. Guide the entry of pollen tube. In the ovule, the pollen tube is attracted by secretions of synergids. Usually, the pollen tube enters the embryo sac by passing into one of the two synergids and is guided by filiform apparatus of the synergids in their movement. Pollen tube then breaks open and releases its contents into the embryo sac. Later, antipodal cells and synergids degenerate. Now let us go to the next question. Advantage of cleistogamy is A. No dependence on pollinators, B. Vivipary, C. Higher genetic variability, D. More vigorous offspring. The correct answer is no dependence on pollinators. So why this is correct answer? Cleistogamy is the process of pollination and fertilization before the flower has opened. In such flowers, the anther and stigma lies close to each other. When anthers dehisce in the flower buds, pollen grains come in contact with the stigma to effect pollination. The cleistogamous flowers invariably autogamous, as there is no chance of cross pollen landing on the stigma. Cleistogamous flowers produce assured seed set even in the absence of pollinators. Now let us go to the next question, 31st. Megasporangium is equal to A. nucellus, B. ovule, C. embryo sac, D. fruit. The correct answer is B. ovule. Now 32nd question, children. Which one of the following statements is correct? A. Endothecium produces the microspores. B. Tapetum nourishes the developing pollen. C. Hard outer layer of pollen is called intine. D. Sporogenous tissue is haploid. Let us find the correct answer. B. B is the correct answer. A microsporangium is generally surrounded by 4 wall layers: the epidermis, endothecium, middle layers and the tapetum. The outer 3 wall layers perform the functions of protection and help in dehiscence of anther to release the pollen. The innermost wall layer is the tapetum. It nourishes the developing pollen grains. The cells of tapetum are food rich and possesses dense cytoplasm and generally have more than one nucleus. Now let us go to the next question. Animal vectors are required for pollination in A. Vallisneria, B. mulberry, C. cucumber, D. maize. The correct answer is C. cucumber. So in Vallisneria, water pollination occurs while mulberry and maize undergo wind pollination. In cucumber, animal pollination is observed. So C is the correct answer. Now the next question. Megaspores are produced from the megaspore mother cells after A. mitotic division, B. formation of thick wall, C. differentiation, D. meiotic division. The correct answer is D. meiotic division. In angiosperms, megasporogenesis. Genesis means formation. That is, formation of megaspores occurs by the meiotic divisions of diploid megaspore mother cells. So, megasporogenesis takes place in the ovule. Now, next question. So, which one of the following statements is correct? A. Cleistogamous flowers are always autogamous. B. Xenogamy occurs only by wind pollination. C. Chasmogamous flowers do not open at all. D. Geitonogamy involves the pollen and stigma of flowers of different plants. Now the correct answer is A. In cleistogamy, as the flowers never open and always closed, there is no alternative of self-pollination. It is invariably autogamous flowers. In xenogamy, pollination takes place between 2 flowers of different plants, genetically and ecologically. It occurs by wind, water, insects and animals. Chasmogamy occurs when the flowers expose their mature anther and stigma to the pollinating agents. Geitonogamy is the pollination taking place between 2 flowers of the same plant or genetically similar plant. Genetically it is self-pollination, but as the agency is involved, it is ecologically cross-pollination. So now let us go to the next question. Which of the following statements is correct? A. Sporopollenin can be degraded by enzymes. B. Sporopollenin is made up of inorganic materials. C. Sporopollenin can withstand high temperatures as well as strong acids and alkalis. D. Sporopollenin can withstand high temperatures but not strong winds. The correct answer is C. Pollen grain is a haploid unicellular body. It is cuticularized and the cutin is of special type called sporopollenin. It is resistant to chemical and biological decomposition. It can withstand high temperatures as well as strong acids and alkalis. This is why pollen wall is preserved for long periods in fossil deposits. In addition, pollen wall possesses proteins for enzymatic and compatibility reactions also. Now next question. Both autogamy and Geitonogamy are prevented in A. Papaya, B. Cucumber, C. Castor, D. Maize. The correct answer is A. Papaya. Autogamy and Geitonogamy are two forms of self-pollination. In autogamy, pollen falls on the stigma of the same flower, while in Geitonogamy, pollens from a flower falls on the stigma of some other flower of the same plant. Papaya is a dioecious plant, thus both autogamy and Geitonogamy are prevented in it. So, A is the correct answer. Now, let us go to the next question. An organic substance that can withstand environmental extremes and cannot be degraded by any enzyme is A. Cuticle, B. Sporopollenin, C. Lignin, D. Cellulose. The correct answer is B. Sporopollenin. You know that sporopollenin is chemically very stable and is usually well preserved in soils and sediments. It can withstand environmental extremes and cannot be degraded by enzymes and strong chemical reagents. It is the major component of the tough outer exine walls of spores of pollen grains. Spores and pollen grains. Now next question. Even in the absence of pollinating agents, seed setting is assured in A. Camelina, B. Zostra, C. Salvia, D. Fig. The correct answer is A. Some plants such as viola, oxalis and camelina produce two types of flowers. Chasmogamous flowers, which are similar to the flowers of other species with exposed anthers and stigma, and the cleistogamous flowers which do not open at all. In such flowers, the anthers and stigma lie close to each other. When anthers dehisce in flower buds, the pollen grain come in contact with the stigma to effect pollination. Thus, cleistogamous flowers are invariably autogamous, as there is no chance of cross pollen landing on the stigma. Cleistogamous flowers produce assured seed set even in the absence of pollinators. Now the next question. What is the function of germ pore? A. Emergence of radicle, B. Absorption of water for seed germination, C. Initiation of pollen tube, D. Release of male gametes. The correct answer is C. C is the correct answer. In pollen grain, exine is thin or absent at certain places. They are called germ pores. If rounded, you call them as germ pores, or germinal furrows if elongated. After pollination, the pollen grain on the stigma absorbs water and nutrients from the stigmatic secretion through its germ pores. The tube or vegetative cell enlarges and comes out of the pollen grains through germ pore to form a pollen tube. Okay children, so today we studied 20 most expected and important questions. So you go through all, try to understand why the answer is correct. Understanding the concept is very important children. Okay, to get regular updates, kindly subscribe the channel children. If you find the video is useful, give your likes and comments in the comment box. So you can share the video lesson with your friends so that they also will be benefited. Thank you. We'll meet in the next class.